What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops 3 on BlackTideTV with a very worthwhile discussion today, and that is what can we expect from the future of the Call of Duty franchise, which is now nestled firmly in Treyarch's hands. Yes, of course, later this year, 2017, Sledgehammer Games will release Call of Duty World War II, which may or may not be the most overhyped game of all time, especially in the Call of Duty franchise. So many players have such high hopes for this game that it's going to be very difficult to meet the demand that is being set upon the developers. But I've heard a lot of great things from the Call of Duty YouTubers who are currently posting early access beta coverage. I'm trying to stay away from it as much as I possibly can because clearly I wasn't invited to do anything like that. So I just want to have the most virgin experience with Call of Duty World War II. So I'm waiting for my own personal hands-on time with the beta this weekend. So if you're going to ask me anything about Call of Duty World War II at this point, my ears, my eyes, everything is shut. I'm in a bubble. But in terms of Treyarch's next game, Treyarch is of course the next developer on the wheel of developers that keeps turning around and around. We have Treyarch, we have Infinity Ward, we have Sledgehammer Games. We had Advanced Warfare, and then we had Black Ops 3, and then we had, what did we have after Black Ops 3? Infinite Warfare. That was a great one. Not sure if Infinity Ward is ever going to make it back on the developer cycle because of how not great their last game was. But in terms of Treyarch coming back, Black Ops 3, the fan base is very split. Half of the fan base really loves this game. There's a lot of people, believe it or not, that believe Black Ops 3 is the best Call of Duty game ever made. Black Ops 2, I can understand that. I don't agree with that either. But Black Ops 3 is certainly not the best Call of Duty game ever made, in my opinion. I actually think it's the worst. But there are a lot of people that really enjoyed Black Ops 3, and so that kind of puts the question up in the air of what is Treyarch going to do next? Because we have Infinity Ward doing Infinite Warfare, which is a futuristic Call of Duty game. Sledgehammer Games is taking us back to World War II, which is the first time that we've had boots on the ground in like 10 years or something like that. It's been a very long time, maybe not 10 years, but it's been quite some time since we've had a boots on the ground classic World War II Call of Duty game. So Sledgehammer Games is bringing us back into the past. Treyarch, on the other hand, has done past and future installments in their series. They've had World at War. They've also had the Black Ops series, which the Black Ops series has been the most sporadic series in the Call of Duty franchise to date. Black Ops 1 was set during the Cold War, somewhat realistically. Black Ops 2 was a close future. It was like 2025, if I'm not mistaken. Not that anything in that game will actually be readily available in 2025 in our own timeline, but it was like an alternate timeline, 2025. And then Black Ops 3, I believe, was 2065. In terms of the campaign across all three games, it wasn't really connected. The first two games were very much connected. The third game had absolutely nothing to do with the Black Ops franchise, and so I'm not even really sure why they called it Black Ops 3. Maybe it's just the name recognition. But the campaign hasn't really come across. The only thing that's really connected these three games is the zombies experience, which has, by all accounts, come to an end. In Black Ops 3, with Chronicles and with all of the other, I think it was Revelations or something like that. I'm not a big zombies player, obviously, but the Zombies Chronicle has come to an end. The overall Easter egg has been achieved, at least as far as I'm aware, and so there really isn't anything keeping Treyarch in the Black Ops franchise. They might do a Black Ops 4, which might be a super far future game, which I don't think anyone would be a big fan of. They could do Black Ops 4, but then reset it back into like a sequel to Black Ops 1. They could do World at War 2, which I think is something that a lot of fans are really looking forward to. A lot of fans really want to see World at War remastered and a World at War sequel, and people have been asking for a World at War sequel for a very long time. So they could do World War II or World at War 2, which would be an interesting idea, but I think the franchise fatigue is there already with the futuristic games. We've seen how they've done too many futuristic games in a row and it got really old really fast. I think it's the same for World War II games. I think if we have two World War II games in a row, both years, I think it'll be very harmful to the franchise, and people will start to say, oh, this game is boring now, because when it comes to World War II, there really isn't a whole lot of variety that you can deal with. You're kind of dealing with the same locations, the same maps, the same campaign stories all the time. There's not much that you can differentiate between the two games, whereas a future game like Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, you can make those very different. But I'm not really sure where they're going with the next game, but all I know for sure is that I really hope that it's not Black Ops 4. I want to see them bring out a new IP. I think that would be the best way for Treyarch to go. Actually, a year ago at this time, well, a little before this time, or a little after this time, right after Infinite Warfare came out, David Vonderhaar, who was working on the next game with Treyarch, posted, and he said, it's time to rewrite the Call of Duty code. And I guess he was talking about like trying to figure out what he can get rid of, what he can add into the Call of Duty formula to make a new, like a refreshing title of a game. And that's definitely interesting in my opinion. I cannot wait to see what they do with the next installment. Treyarch has been hit and miss for me. I loved Black Ops 1. I loved Black Ops 2. Black Ops 3, I am not the biggest fan of. And World at War, I never really had too much of an experience with, especially the online multiplayer. But I did play the campaign, and I thought it was good as well, but maybe not as good as the first two installments in the Black Ops franchise. But what do you think that Treyarch is working on for next year? Let me know in the comment section down below. Remember that Black Ops series is kind of at an end. The World at War series is pretty old to continue on with a sequel, and World War II and then World at War 2, like back to back, might be very confusing for the average consumer. There's a lot to think about when it comes to what is Treyarch going to make in 2018, but I think it's a good discussion that we need to start having already. A lot of you might say, oh, we don't need to be talking about the next Call of Duty game because World War II hasn't even come out yet, but I think that this is prime time to talk about the next title. They've already been working on this game for over a year now, and so if we don't reach out to Treyarch, our suggestions will be forgotten. So let me know your opinion in the comment section down below. Hit the like button and subscribe while you're there, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.